So a few years ago, I was looking at games on Roblox until I got the idea to make my own game. But there's one issue, I don't know how to script. So I decided to spend the next 7 days learning how to script so I can make a Roblox game. Starting off on day 1, I decided to find some videos. And after a couple of hours, I made it pretty far into Alvin Blox's scripting series. Now at this point, I was getting ready to end day 1, but I came across another video by Alvin Blox which looked interesting, so here's a time lapse of that. Now at this point I was done the map and I thought it was looking pretty good. However, I still need to script, and after some time, I finished the first script. What it does is guess the player when they join, and then guess the player's character and changes some properties within the character's humanoid. Then the script will loop through the player list every second, and if the player's character exists, it will add 1 jump power to the player's humanoid. Now at this point, all I had left to do was make a UI and script it so it shows the player's jump power. And just like that, I was done and I was ready to test the game. And it didn't work. So I went to the output and went to the script that had the error, and it was pretty obvious when it needed to be deleted. But for some reason, I decided to add an extra equal sign. I guess not even my P-brain can follow simple tutorials. Anyways, I soon fixed the script and the game was working. Now at this point, I decided to end day 1 as I made lots of progress, which brings us to day 2. To start off the second day, I decided to watch some more scripting videos. So I continued watching Alvin Blox's scripting series, and after a couple of hours, I made lots of progress. Anyways, day 3 is when things got interesting since I created the scripting test realm, which is where I planned on storing the rest of the projects I worked on throughout the rest of the challenge. After, I started watching a video by a cyber career on click detectors, and after some scripting, I made it so some properties of the ball changes whenever you click on it. But for some odd reason, I started humping the ball. Anyways, I soon got back to scripting and made it so that whenever you hover over the ball, the transparency of the ball changes to 0.5. Once I got back to scripting, I decided to make my own function. So I started working on a function that would spawn a part at a random position in the sky whenever you right click the ball. Now for some reason, I didn't put local in front of the variables and instead put them in the parameters of the function. But don't worry because I fixed my mistake, as surprisingly there's no errors with the function. I then made it so that whenever a player touches the ball, it would print the name of the player that touched it. And just like that, it was day 4. On day 4, I came across 2 videos about remote events made by Gnome Code and the Dev King. I then spent the next hour trying to get remote events to work, but I encountered lots and lots of bugs. Well, there was only 2 bugs, but they were still bugs. Anyways, I finally fixed the bugs, and the remote event was working, so whenever I pressed U, the transparency of the part would change. I then started watching another video by Gnome Code on making a shift to sprint system, and just like that, it was working, and I was zooming around the map. The last thing I did for day 4 was start watching a video by It's Floppy Fish on making GUI hover effects. However, I was starting to get tired, so I only made the base GUI. Now at this point, you're probably expecting day 5, but I was extremely busy, so I wasn't able to get any work done on day 5 and day 6. However, although I was still busy on day 7, I was only able to start working once the challenge had officially ended, which was at 4 PM. But I wanted to at least finish the GUI effects, so I started working on a script that had 2 functions which would control the GUI size. I then assigned each function to the mouse enter and mouse leave function, so that whenever you hover your mouse over the GUI, its size would increase by 1.1. And the GUI was working. I then started adding on to the 2 functions, so that the color of the button would change whenever your mouse hovered over it. And I mixed up the colors, so the button turns red whenever your mouse stops hovering over it, when it's supposed to do the opposite. I then went back to the script, again to fix my mistake, and added some sound effects which will play whenever your mouse is hovering over the button. However, I wanted to add my own twist, so I started working on a jump scare that would have a 1 in 10 chance of playing whenever the player clicked the button. Anyways, here's the final product. Well, that is going to be it for this video, and I do apologize for having nothing to show for day 5 and day 6. But anyways, thanks for watching and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time. Peace!